Hello everyone, I am very casually sat here with Binging with Babish. You may not recognise him because you're unused to seeing this much of his face, but I assure you, this is the whole of Binging with Babish. Also known as Andrew Rea. I think I might have butchered his surname there, who knows. But I'm sure you'll correct me at some point if I just continue to butcher the backstory of Binging with Babish.
I'm not the type, but it is Ray. But, but nobody ever says it right, so it's totally fine.
Well, I mean, there you go. Mine's Tulip. I get called Tulip, Tulip.
I had no idea how to
And to be fair, when I walked in, you did think I was a girl, so...
Well, Ash, I mean, yeah.
It's an ambiguous thing, I get it. We're here drinking some extremely posh whiskey, which is possibly the greatest start to an interview I've ever had. To walk into a house and just be handed whiskey on an immediate entry.
I like to have whiskey while I shoot the show, so it only makes sense that if we're shooting all the way over here on the other side of the room, that's got to stay with tradition.
I appreciate that. So let's start, I guess, at the beginning. Where did the idea for Binging with Babish originate?
Well, I never really had the intention of making a cooking show. I bought the camera rig and lights with the intention of doing some freelance video work, and I wanted to practice my food lighting, so I set them up in my kitchen, and then I was like, oh my God, I have kind of a good setup here to make a cooking show. And I had just seen an episode of Parks and Rec where there was a burger cook-off between Ron and Chris, and Chris's burger was full of all these bullshit foodie buzzwords. Am I allowed to swear?
Yeah, of course you are.
All right, well, all these bullshit foodie buzzwords where it was like Taleggio cheese crisp and papaya chutney and microgreens and black truffle aioli, and I was like, would that actually taste good, or were the writers just, trying to come up with some posh terms? So you got posh in my head now. And so I was like, what would that actually taste like? And then I realized I'm very curious about a lot of movie foods, and I'm very invested in both film and food. So I thought, this is a great sort of crossroads of these two interests, and maybe I can make something interesting here. And I really only intended to just make one episode, and people liked it. I think there was maybe 10,000 views in the first episode, which was great. And so I was like, I'm gonna do another one. I thought I've always wanted to try the timpano from Big Night, and
which is quite a big dish. It's not like it's a little thing that you're doing there. I feel like going from burgers to that dish is quite the step.
And I was telling you that I'm impulsive.
Right.
I had the idea to make that the day that I made it. I was at work and I was like, I want to make timpano tonight. And then I stayed up until 5:30 in the morning. I don't think these things through.
No.
and just trying to make all the different elements so they'd be ready for assembly the next night. If you ever watch that episode, you'll see that I lose my mind a little bit. I start freaking out about Frasier and singing, and it's a weird moment. But yeah, so I never really intended for it to become more than a one-off, and I'm happy that it kept going. Also, I'm happy that the timpano worked, because if I put all that work into that, 14 active hours, and if it exploded or leaked or something, I never would have picked up the camera again. I never would have done another one. I would have been like, well, fuck this. Yeah.
That's an entirely valid reaction. So, episode 1 comes out, 10,000 views, you make episode 2, and at what point did it become the sort of juggernaut in terms of popularity that it is now?
It's weird to even think of it as a juggernaut, but I guess the first spike of popularity that I had was the Thanksgiving episode, the Moist Maker episode. That got circulated around a lot of blogs, a lot of news outlets, and Reddit really enjoyed. That was the first one that really succeeded on Reddit in a big way. I owe a huge debt of gratitude to the Reddit community, because even in the beginning, when it was very small, the Reddit food, Reddit cooking communities, that they encouraged me and drove me to make more. And then the Moist Maker episode came out, and it made it to not the top, but high up in Reddit videos, and that got a lot of exposure. And yeah, so that was the first little spike of popularity. And then earlier this spring, I just hit on a couple dishes that I think people really wanted to see. There was Jake's Adventure Time sandwich.
Which Cartoon Network were a huge fan of.
Yeah, it was so cool. They reached out to me and they were like, can we put this on our page? I was like, I thought you'd want to sue me. And then there was Bob's Burgers, which is so cool because just like Cartoon Network, H. John Benjamin tweeted that episode. Jon Favreau shared the Cubanos episode on his Facebook page. Like, they like what I'm doing. They don't think I'm like ripping them off or anything,
Right.
which is great. I'm happy that they see what I'm trying to do here.
I feel like it's not. I mean, you use maybe at most 15 seconds of a clip, and then the rest of it is just. But the rest of it's just like you interpreting those ingredients.
Yeah.
And my favorite episodes are the ones where you're like, I'm going to make this literally, and I'm going to show you what it should actually be made like. For example, Chef's chocolate salty balls.
Yes.
Look like an absolute shit show from start to finish. Like, how you even ate one of them, I was just like, no, do not want to go near them.
I listened to the song and immediately I knew this isn't going to work. This is going to taste like shit. Especially the brandy, like brandy and chocolate I get, but there was like half a cup of brandy. Picture like a normal batch of cookies. There was a half a cup of brandy in there. Like that's going to just be pure alcohol, and it just tasted like an old Italian cookie in like the worst possible way. And
not even the good kind,
yeah,
just the worst kinds.
I mean, even the good kinds are kind of like, oh, thanks, Grandma. Those are good, fine. But I really enjoy that as well. It's kind of the biggest challenge is like, how can I make something good out of this? Like Charlie's milk steak from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. How do you make something edible out of a steak boiled in milk with jelly beans? Like that was one of the biggest challenges. That took 3 reshoots because I made it 3 times, and each time I was like, this isn't accomplishing what I wanted it to be. Which is why at the end I was so, just exhausted and half drunk, and I was like, I'm gonna go fucking full chef's table with this. I'm gonna plate it up like, all with edible flowers, and I'm gonna go the exact opposite of the way Charlie would go. and it worked out. It was delicious. Like thinking of milk as a way to make sausage gravy, then I was like, bacon gravy would be a great idea, and that would go. So I that's my favorite too. I really enjoyed doing that.
Is there any episode that you've started? I want to say any episode. I mean, is there a secret episode that maybe hasn't come to light because you started it and were like, do you know what? No.
There's
just no.
Several. There are several in the graveyard of my hard drive. My favorite one that I really wish could see the light of day, but it's just, I can't do it, is a Frasier special. Frasier, as some of my fans will know, I'm pretty obsessed with. I have a Frasier tattoo that is back here somewhere. We can do it later. I recreated a dinner from season 8, I think it was, where Daphne throws a dinner party. I don't know if you're familiar with Frasier at all, but she throws a dinner party, and it all goes wrong, but there was a very specific menu, and I was like, I'm going to make that. I'm going to have a dinner party just like I did with the Timpano episode. I'm going to have everybody come over, and we'll eat it. And we ended up getting way too drunk, and at the end there's like this shaky camera footage of like trying to get close-ups of the food. The stabilizer wasn't turned on in the camera. The only shots of the food I have are earthquaking, like shaking. So I had to trash it, even though I worked all day on it, and it came out gorgeous. It came out really good. So I'm sad about that one. I just tapped the mic. Sorry about that.
It's okay. I feel like you could almost maybe screenshot them and just slow zoom in on them. Just be like, oh, this is fine.
It's true. It's true. I mean, I think one of the things people, if they don't overtly, is that a word? Mm-hmm. Yeah. If they don't overtly like it, maybe subconsciously they like it, is the attention to detail in the show. I try not to take any shortcuts or, make any compromises as far as the visual fidelity, the quality of the food, the soundness of the technique. I try to do everything as good as I possibly can. Before you got here, I was taking some painter's tape to my apron and getting all the fuzzies off of it because I shoot it in 4K. I don't want people seeing little detritus on my apron. So I don't know how conscious people are of that, but I try to have as tight an attention to detail as I possibly can in the show.
Is that why you intentionally obscured your face? Because you want people to focus more on the food than the person behind it?
That's exactly why. I was taking inspiration from tasty videos, and I had just seen, I can't remember what cooking video it was, but I had just seen a video for a burger, and it was 30 minutes long. I was like, how could this possibly be a 30-minute long, unless the guy didn't stop the camera, how could this be 30 minutes long on how to make a burger? And the first 10 minutes were just pure vlog. They were pure, like internet personality. And I was like, people are clicking on this video to see that burger. They want to see the cross section. They want to see the food porn. And you have to wade through this guy's like attempt to become a star to get there. And I was like, I want to make a show that's purely about food. That's why I'm not trying to remain anonymous. I mean, here I am, and if you search my name, some pictures will come up, and I have my picture on my website. So I'm not trying to remain. I'm not trying to keep it a secret. It's just more. I want to keep the focus on the food. I want to make tasty videos for people who love to cook and know how to. I mean, I try to be as instructional as possible, but sometimes I don't hold your hand through things. Like the most recent episode, I said, make simple syrup and brush the babka down with simple syrup. Like, I'm not going to show you how to make it. And I actually intend to go the opposite direction with a new series that I'm launching next month, which is called Basics with Babish, which is designed to help you grow your confidence in the kitchen. And it's also designed to be watched in order. It's going to be serialized, meaning you can watch it out of order if you want. If you want to learn how to make salsa from this episode, by all means. But if you start from the beginning, you will become a better home cook. I like to think.
Where did your passion for home cooking start? Because you're not actually like someone that's just kind of standing behind the kitchen and going, I'm going to try this. Like, you've got some genuine skill behind you, like almost to like a terrifying level at some points. Like the episode again, the Frasier episode the Timpano episode where you are literally for 14 hours. Is it what were you peeling? No, you were. What was it you were doing from like in the middle of the night?
Oh, I was making the pasta. I was making pasta by hand. The garbanelli.
That was it. Yeah. And you had sat there for the better part of about 6 or 7 hours in the middle of the night, from midnight.
Yeah, that was all pasta making from 11 to 5 or so. So
right.
Yeah.
So that's not an easy thing for them. Like, as much as I enjoy home cooking, I would not sit there for 7 hours and go, well, I know what I want to do with my early hours of the morning. It's just not going to happen. So where did your passion for that kind of come from? And where does your skill come from?
There's a couple of answers to that. The passion started with my mother. She taught me how to bake when I was very, very young. She taught me how to make, Nestle Toll House cookies, and she passed away when I was very young. And this is like a way to cooking makes me feel closer to her, and is a great memory of my childhood. And so I think that's where it started. And then I don't know. Since I was 16, I thought, like, I'm a great chef. and I think the most valuable thing you can do as somebody who wants to become a better cook is lose that idea. I do not think that I'm a great chef. I have so much more to learn before I even think that I'm even a chef. And any skill that I display is because, this is the other half of the answer, any skill that I display is because I'm a psycho hobbyist. For some reason, when I set my mind to do something, it's all I give a shit about. I set my mind to making timpano. I was like, I'm gonna fucking do it, and I don't care if it kills me.
Right.
And it's always been like that with cooking. Sometimes I won't eat dinner until 1 a.m. because that night I decided I'm gonna make the best meatballs in the world, and I'm gonna read 10 recipes and take all my favorite parts of each recipe. This one adds gelatin to make them more moist. This one adds buttermilk instead of milk. Just taking as much information as I can and trying to make an amalgam of it. And I always call myself a psycho hobbyist because I get fixated on something and I can't help but attack it. And that's something that really gets me through the show, especially until at least every episode has been shot on a weekend outside of my day job, which I just quit. And so that's, 50 hours a week that I'm working that job, and then 20 hours a week to make this show, plus any freelance projects or anything. It takes psycho energy to get through that. And I'm really excited to have made this my career, and I'm curious in what ways I can expend that energy. That's why I want to do the new show. I want to do Basics with Babish, and I want to see what other stuff I can make. I strayed very far from your question. But
I appreciate that. I like the detour.
Yeah.
So, In terms of the ingredients that you use, you tend to be pretty faithful to some of the more outrageous ingredients. I mean, I know that you mentioned the Parks and Rec episode where they were using black truffle and they were using all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
You then went and bought black truffle, and I seem to remember that you also bought one very particular spice, or you bought one item that was very expensive for one of the shoots.
Are you thinking of Eggs Woodhouse?
Yes.
That was several expensive ingredients. There was cashmere saffron. There was, and I don't know why I did this, because if I just bought prosciutto and cut it up, people would, I don't know why I did this, but I do feel a responsibility to, like, I'm not here to recreate foods and also give you a show about, movies and whatever. I'm here to recreate foods. I'm here to see what this tastes like. So I went downtown to this, I can't remember the name of it, it's a Spanish grocery that sells real Iberico ham.
I think that was it.
Iberico, I mean, that was one of many things with that. The Iberico ham, I'll tell you, it was $195 a pound for the Iberico.
Jesus. No ham is worth $195 a ham.
And this certainly wasn't. It was delicious, but I wouldn't pay $195.
Unless it comes with a gold ring or some sort of...
It did come with a gold ring.
Funny you should mention. I've got this wonderful necklace on.
Then there was, according to the recipe, it's beluga caviar, which is illegal. So the best caviar I could get my hands on was Ostera caviar, which was $115 per gram. So
cheap then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then was it per ounce? I don't know. Either way, it's expensive.
Either way, I wouldn't pay $150 for either a jar or an ounce.
It was it was like a teaspoonful essentially for about $115. And then there was the cashmere saffron, which that was a whole process of finding the right spice market that sources from cashmere, and that was expensive. What else was in there?
So how much did that dish cost overall?
That was about $300 to make. Oh, and there's a whole black truffle shaved on top. And the black truffle, that's running about $150 for a small black truffle. Yay big. So that was an expensive one. And that's why I set up the charity associated with it, because it felt disgusting to be eating this thing.
Right.
Like, sure, it sent me into more credit card debt, but I'm not, like, it's insane that this exists, and I don't feel right eating it.
Did it actually taste any good?
Tasted like garbage, because it was too much. It was too much. Pizza and ice cream together, it's great things apart. I love caviar. I love good ham. I love, black truffle, but, like, you put them all together, it's way too much.
I just can't even imagine what, like, my brain cannot fathom the almost waves. It must be just like some sort of horrible wave. In fact, the nearest thing I can think of is that I went to, I think is it called 14 Handles? It's a froyo shop in America.
16 handles.
16 handles. There's 2 extra handles. 16 handles. Never been to this shop before in my life. Went there, and they were like, oh, you can have like one of 18 choices of froyo, or you can have all 18. And I was like, oh, that sounds like fun. So I proceeded to get about 7 different flavors of froyo, and then added about 12 toppings to it, and instantly hated everything about it, because my brain was going, oh, this should taste like this, and my mouth's going, it doesn't. And I just felt sick. I just felt really ill afterwards, because my brain and my mouth weren't doing the same thing.
It'd be like grabbing a handful of Jelly Bellies. Like, you got buttered popcorn in there, you got black licorice. Like, why mix all these things? And it was horrifying. I made the most amazing frittata afterwards. It was so good. But you want to know the main problem was with it was that there was everything was soft and everything was fat. That's all that was going on in there. It was softness and fattiness. There was no crunch. There was no acidity. There was no you need something to cut through all that. Right. And it would have been overwhelming even if you had something there. But it was, just imagine like a mushy mouthful of butter plus eggs plus the richest spices you could imagine, plus caviar. Like, it was just too much. So no, I do not recommend Eggs Woodhouse. I don't. Sorry.
If you could eat nothing but one of your Binging with Babish episodes, forever and eternity, what would you eat?
That's tricky. Trying to think of what my favorites have
And
been.
you can't cheat and be like, oh, the South Park episode, so I get a choice of 4 things. It has to be
All right,
one.
I won't do a whole
thing.
episode. I won't do a whole episode. That's rough. I think it would be... Shit. Oh boy, this is really tough. Can I look at my episode list?
Can you cheat? Is what you're asking me.
Can I cheat?
Of course you
I
can.
remember
2
stuff.
seconds. Hang on.
Oh, you got it? All right.
It's going to be a real hard cut here for a second. Just bear with us.
Sorry. We'll be right back. I'm going to put the Thanksgiving sandwich at number 1.
Thanksgiving sandwich?
I love Thanksgiving. I never get tired of it. Like, even when the leftovers are out, I want more. Yeah, if I had to have one for the rest of my life, it'd be Ross Geller's Moist Maker Sandwich.
Ross Geller's Moist Maker Sandwich. I feel like almost when we come back from this break, we should have all like swapped places and put different things on the table and just been like, well, we're back. You missed a lot.
I put on a different shirt.
It was a raucous 20 minutes that you've missed. So, the Moist Maker Sandwich is your obvious winner. That's fair. That's a fine thing. Is there anything else that's kind of like the best thing that's come out of binging with Babish?
I think Charlie's Milk Steak was a surprising success. It took a few tries, but beef being braised in milk is actually a very old Italian way of cooking, mostly pork, but sometimes they do beef. And normally, they let the milk curdle, because it's going to curdle.
Right.
They let it curdle, and then they almost make like a topping out of the curdled milk, and it's horrifying looking, but it's delicious. It's very good.
Horrifying yet delicious.
Picture like brown shrunken milk curds, just like strewn on top of a pork loin. So I was happy that I was able to find an effective way to cook beef in milk. That was cool to begin with. And then the original, I can show you a picture of the original plating, was that I took all the cooking liquid that was all curdled and disgusting. I was like, if I puree this, maybe this will work out. And I did. I put it in the Vitamix, and I pureed it, and it was delicious. But when I put it over the steak, it was this bright yellow mixture over steak. It looked like I had poured like mustard on top of a pile of beef. It was horrifying looking. So I almost went with that because I was just gonna be like, it tastes good. It looks shitty, but it tastes good. But I decided, like, okay, what other ways can I introduce milk into this? Gravy. Gravy is built on milk.
Right.
So, and then I thought, I've got all these herbs in there. Sausage gravy would be great, but bacon gravy I think would be really good. And so it's not only the prettiest thing I've ever made, but also it's one of the tastiest. So it's one of my biggest victories. I'm very happy with that one.
Is the milk steak?
Yeah, the milk steak.
Have you obviously have quite a vocal fan base. Do you interact with them a lot?
That is one of the things that I value most about being able to make this show, is the conversations I get to have with everybody who likes it, particularly on Reddit, also on YouTube, also just people who send me emails. I try to answer every question if I can. I miss a lot because sometimes when I put out an episode, I'm getting, thousands of messages. But I think that's where the show started, and I want to keep that
a core element.
Yeah, I want to keep that a core element of the show. And that's where I get a lot of my ideas and my inspiration, and also my drive to keep doing it. I love how much people love it, and it gets me excited. It gets me motivated to keep making it. No, the audience is a huge part of why Binging with Babish has not only grown, but also why it still exists. Because without these people saying, like, keep doing this, like, I love this, I've learned how to cook. I made this pasta dish for my girlfriend. Everybody has made pasta allo olio for their girlfriend. I swear to God, that's causing another baby boom, that pasta dish. Like,
just on its own.
I've gotten no fewer than 20 messages on Reddit saying, like, dude, I made that for my girl. and things went gray. So I love that, and I love talking with everybody, and everybody always says, like, when I post a new episode, somebody puts it on Reddit and it goes to the top of our videos. I talk with everybody, and they're always like, this is like a mini AMA. So like every week I'm doing this mini AMA. I swear to God, I have carpal tunnel syndrome. I do like 500 comments every time. But that's a huge factor. I love the people who watch the show.
What's the worst part of doing the show? Like, how do you get through, I imagine, the inevitable creator's problem of, I don't want to do this anymore, it's horrible, I want to quit?
I mean, I will say, I've actually never felt that. I love doing the show.
Right.
Like, and it's only, like, I'm not saying that that's how every YouTube creator should feel. It's just more that it's the intersection between two things that I care about a lot and two things that I have tried very hard to become proficient with, which is food and film. Right. And so I get a lot of fulfillment out of it. I will say it can be exhausting, and especially when I mess up and I have to can a whole episode. The elf pasta, the dessert, elf breakfast dessert pasta, I had to eat that 3 times because Now This came here, which is a Facebook, whatever.
Yeah.
Now This came here and asked me to make that, and I did. And then I was like, I should do this for an episode as well. I shot it, and then I went to go edit it, and I had the shot of the final plating in soft focus. So I had to do it again. I had to eat it again. So I had to eat that.
That must have been really enjoyable for you. I bet you would.
Beautiful.
I like that of all the things. Like, I've talked to a lot of people, and usually it's like, I've had days where I've broken down and I've cried and I've had to get through it and stuff. And just like, I hate eating fucking pasta from the elf film. Fuck that film. Just like that's the worst thing that's happened to you.
I'm so lucky. Yeah. I mean, I will say, yeah, I've had moments where it's been so exhausting that I wonder if I can keep doing it. That's mostly because I was working a full-time job at the same time. But for the most part, this show's given me nothing but excitement and motivation to make more, make bigger things, make better things, and I can't wait to show people what I was about to say what I'm capable of making. That's so conceited. What I want to show people my ideas, and I hope that they like them as much as this one. That really fell apart towards the end there.
No, it's fine. Absolutely fine. I was going to ask, in terms of the YouTube community that you're now very much a part of, whether you like it or not, have you, because you're relatively new to it, and you're obviously not, with the greatest of respect, you're not new here. You're not like a day one, young, impressionable human being. You've walked the earth for quite some time.
Thank you.
Have you noticed anything odd, or is there anything that's quite jarring about being in a world where it's predominantly young people kind of leading the way? Have you found anything kind of jarring in that?
It's some of the things that are impossibly popular, like, I won't name anybody, but some of the most popular channels on YouTube are spastic, screaming. There's some great vlogs out there, and there are some insipid vlogs that. Let me start that over.
It's all right.
There's some great vlogs out there, and there are some insipid vlogs of people that are taking advantage of other people and making fun of people for horrible reasons, like because they're mentally challenged or whatever. There's a lot of terrible content out there, and it's popular because it's so high energy and because it's so random and so, controversial. It's pushing all these buttons. And when you're 14, that's what you want to see.
Right.
And I like to think that hopefully I've found a happy medium between the old style of media and this new style, which is that I've taken the aspect of new media, which is that it's just a constant barrage of information, and it's nonstop. There's no pauses. There's no lulls, that's how I've modeled my show. Is like, I want it to be information rich, entertaining, food porn. I want it to be as much as possible in a short as a time as possible, and that's the philosophy behind a lot of these shows. They want to be as much as possible in as small a package as possible, and I hope that, I don't know where I'm trying to go with this. I hope that entertainment can adapt to this new form factor in a way that is as entertaining as it is informative, or as entertaining as it is well made. I don't want the screaming into the camera while you're setting off firecrackers in a parking lot to be the new normal for entertainment.
Right.
I want to class up the new generation of content creators.
You want to make entertainment educational again. Is
Exactly.
basically what it is.
Yeah. I like to think of my show as a delicious blueberry smoothie that you don't realize has kale in it. Like,
Stealth education. I like that.
I'm sneaking people their vegetables. You can watch my show, and you can not absorb a thing. Or if you look, there's a lot of information in there. Any episode that you look at, whether it be a sandwich or sauce or whatever, if you watch that episode, it's going to be how to make this the best way that you possibly can. And so, but you could also just tune in to hear me crack wise about movies, and just look at some hot, steamy food porn. Like, either way,
Right.
that's what I was going for. I'm getting a little drunk, and I apologize.
No,
if
it's fine.
I'm starting to ramble a little
No,
bit
it's
here.
fine. I was gonna. So, I guess we've kind of covered a lot of the basics of how Binging with Babish has become so popular. I would say that the only real kind of competitor for you, it's not really a competitor anymore because it's two different, very different audiences, but it's been compared to things like Epic Mealtime.
Yeah.
Now, with Epic Mealtime, it's a lot more over the top and a lot more, sort of grandiose, and that's fine. But Epic Mealtime's kind of almost had its peak, and now it's going kind of back into the core audience section.
Yeah.
How are you intending to kind of keep your content fresh, other than doing obviously the basic series as well?
Yeah, but I mean that's the answer really. Is like Epic Mealtime was about the spectacle of making something as ridiculous as it possibly could be, which was great. I enjoyed watching Epic Mealtime. But similarly, it had a shelf life, kind of like how on Reddit they were obsessed with a minute for with the hydraulic press channel. They were crazy about that, and I love that channel. But have you seen it on the front page in a long time? No, because watching anything be crushed by hydraulic press it's got a shelf life, and I still enjoy watching it. It's still a very satisfying way to like take out stress. It's just watch a troll doll be obliterated. But I guess one reason that Binging with Babish is kind of safe from that is that it's got both the pop culture angle to keep it relevant. There's constantly new foods being featured. The next 2 episodes that I'm making are extremely topical. I can talk about them. I'm doing an episode on, literally like as soon as you leave, I'm going to start shooting an episode on Master of None. It's going to be a pasta carbonara, and the new season just came out today. It's something I'm very curious about. I keep touching the mic.
It's okay.
It's something I'm very curious about. I think it's something a lot of other people are curious about because he made a gorgeous plate of pasta. And then after that is coffee, pie, and griddle cakes with ham from Twin Peaks, which is coming back next weekend. So there's topicality, and even if I don't stay topical, there are classic source materials like Goodfellas. So many people were asking for the Goodfellas sauce. That's why I did it right after the Thanksgiving sandwich sauce episode, because so many people were asking for it. And I think in that way, Binging with Babish is safe from obsolescence for a while, but my plan to combat that is that, yeah, I've got so many more ideas on what cooking shows can be in the streaming environment. Like just entertainment is changing very, very rapidly. You know, TV is going the way of the dodo in the next 10 years. I don't have to tell you that, but like, you know, the way we're about to consume media is changing very rapidly. And I want to be on the forefront of how cooking videos, how entertainment in the culinary world is made and consumed. I think that there's got to be a paradigm shift there. Because like what we were talking about before, it's got to be just a barrage of information. It can't be the old-fashioned model. And I want to be right at the forefront of that. So that's how I'm hoping to stay relevant.
So kind of speaking in the forefront of going along with that theme, YouTube's having quite the crisis at the minute in terms of, obviously, advertisers have pulled out, ad rates have dropped. You are one of many creators that are on Patreon. How important is Patreon to you right now?
Patreon is how I'm paying my rent. It's like, you know, Patreon is extremely important to me. It's not something that like I ever thought would work. Just the idea of people liking content so much that they want to give money directly to it. People are giving me, in some cases, more money per month than they give to Netflix, and Netflix gives them a litany of choices, and it's incredible to me that people want to put their money behind it. But I'm so appreciative of it, and I think that when you have original content, fresh content, things that people want to see, they'll support it, and maybe that's the new model of like how content's going to be made in the future. I don't know. It's very possible that like you might only contribute to things that you want to see, like because it used to be like if you think about the old model, you would contribute a set amount to get everything, and now you're able to sort of contribute smaller amounts to get exactly what you want.
Right.
And maybe that's the new model. Maybe that's how things are going to work in the future. And it'd be scary for some people, but it's very exciting for others. And it's very exciting to me.
Do you worry that what happens if it all goes away? What happens if not that it was going to happen, but let's say something, you know, you make some sort of faux pas on social media, or
Yeah.
you know, you pull a JonTron and it all goes a bit wrong. Do you worry about?
I mean,
you know, or are you quite confident in your?
I gotta say,
your ability to kind of just entertain.
I mean, I gotta say, I worried about that a lot when I was getting ready to quit my job, because I was like, I'm gonna go ahead and see if I can. I'm gonna jump into the deep end and see if I can swim, and I just realized, like, you know, I do feel very confident in my ability to entertain without pissing people off too much. We'll see, but also, you know, I could leave this apartment right now and get an aluminum pipe smacked across my face. Like I could go get hit by a bus. You know, that's not a reason not to do something. And nothing has made me more energized and excited in my life than making this show. So it would be crazy not to try. You know.
Where does Binging with Babish come from? Where does the name actually come
from? So like I was saying, this show started on Reddit.
Right.
And my Reddit handle is Oliver Babish, which is the name of a character from The West Wing. I kind of chose that name arbitrarily. I like obscure characters, and this character was on for, I think, 3 episodes. I really like obscure characters. I tried to be Cam Winston, who was on for like 4 episodes in Frasier. And so I, like I was saying, I never expected to make more than 1 episode, so I totally arbitrarily chose the name, and now I'm totally stuck with it. Like,
you are really stuck. You can't change it.
Nope. Half of my Google traffic comes from searches for the word Babish, which is terrifying. And at the same time, it's not that bad. Like we established earlier, my actual name is harder to pronounce than Babish, so it's a blessing in disguise. It's fun, yeah.
Are you going to any fan conventions this year? Are you going to do VidCon?
I can't make it to VidCon. I would love to. I'm hoping to go to Comic-Con. I'm hoping to. I need to familiarize myself better with this stuff. Like, I would love to go to any conventions that will have me. I'm going to Clusterfest in a couple weeks. I'm going to be doing a chili con carnival, a South Park style chili con carnival cook-off against a Michelin-starred chef and two of San Francisco's greatest culinary innovators.
No pressure.
So I'm going to go up there and get my ass handed to me. Like, I can't. I'm very excited. So if you want to see my ass get kicked, check out Clusterfest. I'm not trying to plug. Sorry. But I'm doing that. I'm very excited about that. It's terrifying. Like, that's going to be, from what I've read, it's going to be a theater of like 35,000 people. And that's very scary. I've never really been on stage much, and I've never really sat down and done an interview before like this.
Right. Welcome to YouTube, man. It's a wild ride.
Yeah,
I feel like you're in for a treat. 35,000 people.
I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't know how many people are going to know who I am, but I'm excited to try it. I'm excited to just get completely demolished by these real chefs. People.
Well, I feel like it wouldn't really be a Binging with Babish episode unless you're drinking whiskey consistently through it. I feel like you could regularly when they come to you, you could just be like, yeah, everything's fine. Just everything is fine, perfectly fine.
Yeah, that's a great angle. I'm just going to be like the guy who's like, yeah, whatever. I'm here. Hey guys.
The mild alcoholic in the background, just being like, well, this guy's loving his life.
There's a lot of alcoholic jokes that are made about me, and that's sad just because of how horrible alcoholism is. But it's also something that I play off of, like the top comment on I can't remember. I think on Bob's Burgers maybe it was like, so is this guy a low-key alcoholic? And I was like, functioning asterisk. Like, you meant to say functioning. So I'm a big proponent of drinking while cooking, because unless you have a problem. If you have a problem with drinking, don't do it. But having a glass of wine or having a glass of whiskey while you're cooking, some people get so stressed out by cooking, and if you just have this little piece of relief, it can change your entire outlook on being in the kitchen. And I don't always drink when I'm in the kitchen. You'll see there's a lot of episodes where I don't drink, but I think that it is as useful as I think it is as useful of a kitchen tool as a good knife or a good cutting board. It's something that can just make life easier for you.
What was the worst kind of kitchen accident you've ever had? What was the biggest kitchen nightmare?
The biggest kitchen nightmare I ever had was setting fire to a trash can, because I was making. I had invented a drink called the Flaming Canadian, which it was an homage to I was making movie themed drinks,
right.
And I wanted to pay homage to La La Land. Mm-hmm. So we got this hot Canadian, Ryan Gosling, and so I basically made a White Russian with maple syrup as a sweet element to it, and then it was topped off with 151 and lit. So you got almost this kind of like marshmallowy, like toasted marshmallow thing.
Right.
The thing
Sounds delicious.
Yeah, it was. And the thing is that I don't know. I've never set a cocktail on fire before. I didn't know that alcohol burns very subtly sometimes. Sometimes you can barely see it. So I was just experimenting because I wanted to do this thing where if you throw cinnamon into the flame of a cocktail, it makes these cool sparks. Right. Yeah. And so I was doing that. I was like, oh, this is fun. I had just set like, a shot of 151 on fire, and I was just throwing cinnamon in it like an idiot. And it's like, oh, well, that was fun. And
again, asterisk, not idiot, expert.
Like an expert.
Important asterisk there.
I will say most experts don't take the flaming shot and throw it into the garbage, and then it just goes, just fucking catches. It was massive blaze, and I was, and I was absolutely terrified. Other than that, I think that was my worst. I mean, it was cocktail based, so I don't know if that counts. But Other than that, I worked very hard on beef Wellington, and made this gorgeous beef Wellington. It was ready, and it went in the oven, and I took it out, and it had exploded, just popped open. So I appreciate.
Nobody's perfect, is what we've learned there.
That's what I want people to take away from that. I mess up all the time, and you just don't see it. I'm a good editor. I'm a better editor than I'm a chef.
Right.
So don't worry about making mistakes. That's the best way you learn. I've made so many mistakes, and those were all very valuable learning opportunities.
Perfect. So, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to me.
Oh, anytime.